He fell out of a window. By Dogs at 4, read by me. Summary. Inspired by the he fell out of a window scene from Sherlock in Season 2. Marinette is a kind person. She's sweet and generous and at the time just a bit too quiet. You know what they say about the quiet ones. AKA, you do not mess with Marinette's family, otherwise she becomes one scary badass chick. And the bad guys just happen to trip out the window. Note. So I was thinking about Miraculous Ladybug when I saw the clip on YouTube, URL, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if this happened to Marinette and she acted just like Sherlock in what was to be done with the hired thug? And this was created. I hope you enjoy. Marinette is usually a nice person, the type who is kind and who helps whoever's in need, the kind of people go to when they're feeling down and is generally a very happy person. She wasn't this person today. Today, she is in a very bad mood. Someone had come to her family bakery, is holding her mother at gunpoint after he attacked her. She was not happy at all. While Marinette is usually a very nice person, everyone knows that when the nice ones get angry, it gets scary. Marinette is no exception to this rule. Rather, she resembles this rule precisely. So when she came rushing home to the bakery after getting a frighteningly panicked text from her mother, she did expect the hired thug to be waiting for her. She didn't expect the cold rage at the sight of the blood on her mother's cheek. As Ladybug, she let Chat Noir know the situation and told him to come as soon as possible. But in the meantime, Marinette, not Ladybug, was going to deal with this problem. The thug stood in front of her with the gun to her mother's head, a disgusting sneer on his lips. "Marinette, get out of here!" Her mother whimpered, fear clear in her voice, more worried about Marinette's safety than her own. Marinette's eyes hardened. She loved her mother. Her mother was both kind and strong, and seeing her whimpering in fear set the fire of anger into cold ice in her veins. "Give me the earrings, girl!" His voice sounded slimy to her ears. "Point the gun away from my mother first." As soon as she said that, his eyes lit up, and the nameless puppet did exactly that, and pointed it at her. She can work with this. "Well, this is turning out real easy. You know there's a bounty on those pretty jewels of yours." He spoke triumphantly as he walked over to her, the gun still trained on her person. "Anyone else know?" Marinette asked, letting her anger completely overcome her fear. "Nah, if they did, then I wouldn't be able to cash in on the big bucks," he blabbed, thinking he had won as he reached out to take her Miraculous. In a flash of red, Tiki zoomed out and bit the fingers that were coming way too close to the earrings, and at the same time, Marinette twisted out of the way of the gun in a sudden show of ability, snatching up the oil spray as she went. As she turned to face the thug again, her finger was already on the trigger as she sprayed it into his eyes, and while the man was blinded, she pulled back her fist, aiming for his face, released all her strength into the hit and knocked him out. Without a second thought, Marinette turned to her mother and was enveloped in the tightest hug she had ever had. "Marinette, honey, are you okay?" Sabine ran her hands over her daughter's face and arms, checking for any injuries. "Mama, I'm fine. It's you who is injured." Marinette fussed in return as she directed the older woman into the living room. "Now, I'm going to go tie up the bad guy and wait for Chat. Stay here, Mama." Marinette speaks softly to calm her mother before returning to the back rooms to clean up. When Chat arrived at the bakery, he was expecting a mess everywhere, a traumatized Marinette and her mother and the police. What he wasn't expecting was the bad guy already tied up with duct tape on his mouth and glaring at them, or the sight of an injured Sabine Dupin Chang, and when his eye caught Marinette's, Chat Noir certainly wasn't expecting to see the cold rage in them. Is everyone okay? He asked immediately as he walked over to the injured woman. Someone just broke into my house and assaulted my mother. I'm setting the record straight. Marinette spoke coldly, and Shat flinched from the words. The first aid is on the couch. Can you treat her wounds? Marinette asked without looking away from the thug. Why did he assault your mom? Shat asked as he tended to the woman, flat-footed by the sudden change in the demeanor of his normally kind and sweet classmate. He wanted my Miraculous, she replied curtly as she started to move around the room, taking out her phone. Take my mama downstairs. The ice is there. Shat nodded his assent before the words suddenly sank in. What? He almost shouted. Her Miraculous? But only he and Ladybug have a Miraculous. M'lady? He asks, voice quivering with hope. Yes, Chaton. Now take my mother downstairs. She confirms with a soft smile in his direction. But once her eyes are back on the man that hurt her mother, it's like Shat is looking at a whole different person. Someone who is so much colder. He swallows before following his lady's instructions, taking Miss Dupain Cheng to take care of the wounds downstairs, leaving Marinette alone with her captive. Marinette can't form any words. She just stares at the man who hurt her mother in order to get her Miraculous. The fact that he is here leaves her with the dilemma of what to do with him. She knew she would have to make him pay, but there was also the matter of keeping him quiet. As she paced around him, her eyes caught sight of the window. Yes, that would work. It certainly is covered from prying eyes. Not only that, but the fool is non-lethal. A slow, cold, calculating grin stole over her face. Marinette knew the moment the man saw her face. It was when he started shouting as much as he could through the duct tape. She walked over, slow and intimidating. You hurt my mother. Marinette bit out, her voice as cold as her blue eyes. The man's eyes widened, and she could see sweat perspiring along the side of his face. Moving away from the man, Marinette dialed the police from her phone, specifically one of the officers that loved the breads her parents made. Hello? Officer Beaumont, there's been a break-in at the bakery, her voice sounding the part of the hysterical daughter. Yes, me and Mama are fine, but we need an ambulance. Real emotion pouring into her voice. It's for the burglar. He fell out the window. Marinette sounded worried for the man who assaulted her mother. The man stopped moving completely as he heard her words. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. She responded to whatever was being said on the other end of the phone, and then she hung up. Marinette turned to the man. You tell anyone of this, and you'll be suffering worse than a fall out of a window. This is for hurting my mother, Marinette explained calmly before she walked over to the window that faced the brick wall of the neighbouring terrace and opened it. Silently, Marinette was glad Tiki hadn't come out. The young girl knew that Tiki wouldn't approve of this course of action, but she was also staying hidden and silently allowing Marinette to do this. Marinette knew that Tiki was also angry that someone had dared to hurt Sabine Dupeng Chang, but since she couldn't let anyone other than Marinette or any other chosen find out about her, Tiki had hidden away. Not only that, but she was giving her silent approval to do what the small god would never do herself. Marinette was quietly glad for this. It made her life much easier. She bunched up the carpet with obvious scuff marks, replicating what it would look like if the man ran in that direction. Marinette poked her head out the window and looked down. Well, the bins would suffer his fall, she thought vindictively. Marinette turned back to the man and dragged the chair close to the open window before cutting him loose and throwing him out the window. Marinette calmly returned the chair to its original position in the room before making her way downstairs. Shat quietly guided the mother of the love of his life downstairs, slowly disconnected with the reality around him after receiving the revelation that turned his whole world upside down. Marinette is Ladybug. He is in love with Ladybug. Ladybug is Marinette. He is in love with Marinette. This was the best day of his life. Chat took Miss Dupin-Chang back to the back room where the industrial fridge was and retrieved the ice before handing it to the shaken woman. Once that was done, he continued to treat the wounds on her face. "Why was that man after my daughter?" the woman asked, her voice still shaky after the ordeal. Chat looked at her as he came down from Cloud 9 to deal with what was before him. "It's because Marinette is Ladybug," he told her frankly, because he saw no point in lying about it, seeing as he just confirmed that little fact right in front of her just a few minutes ago. "I knew it," she whispered softly, surprising Chat completely. "And you? You must be Adrian." Sabine spoke as she stared at him with an intensity in her eyes. Chat couldn't look away and nodded. Sabine let out a bone-weary sigh as her information was confirmed. "I always suspected you were Chat Noir," she spoke softly before her face lit up in a huge smile. "You are welcome at our table any time," she offered the shocked boy, whose eyes always seemed to have loneliness hidden in their depth. A soft, genuine smile spread across his lips as his eyes took on a telling sheen. "Thank you." Chat and Sabine jumped at the sound of something very heavy falling. Sabine looked out the window and frowned. "That was right on my pins." Sabine squinted through the cloth window but was distracted when Marinette made her way down the stairs with a self-satisfied look on her face. "Mama, are you all right?" she asked with warm concern in her eyes. "I'm fine, dear. Are you all right? Did something happen?" Sabine asked her daughter, her eyes scanning for any damage. "What was that?" Chat asked, confused. "Just taking out the trash," Marinette answered nonchalantly, a smirk on her lips. "Thanks for taking care of my mama." Marinette's smirk disappeared, and a smile full of gratitude took its place, knocking the air clear out of Chat's lungs. Chat stared at her lips, distracted by the beautiful smile. He shook his head and asked his next question. "Mary, what did you do?" he asked, worried. She opened her mouth to answer, but the blaring sirens cut off her chance to. Instead of answering, Marinette turned towards the knocking of the door. "You best change, Adrian," Sabine told the young man wisely, who nodded and released his transformation. In a flash of green, Adrian stood with Sabine as he gently placed a bandage on the small cut of her face. "Miss Dupin-Chan, are you okay?" One of the officers had rushed through the open door with a worried look on his face. "Officer Beaumont, I'm fine. It's just a small scratch." Sabine smiled weakly at the officer, who placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Thank you, young man, for keeping Miss Dupin-Chan company and looking after her wounds," the man said to Adrian, who blushed from the praise. "Where's Marinette?" Adrian asked timidly, as he slowly put away the first aid kit. "She's with the paramedics. She had to lead them through the gate to reach the burglar." "He's over here!" Adrian could faintly hear Marinette's voice drip through the window in the door. Sabine and Adrian shared a look of confusion and turned to Officer Beaumont. "And to think he fell out the window," he remarked offhandedly. And the pieces fell together for both Sabine and Adrian. Adrian stared out the window, shocked that Marinette was even capable of such an act. Sabine stared at the officer with wide eyes, her face paling. "My goodness, is he all right?" she stuttered, also in shock. "The paramedics think he'll be fine. They'll take him to the hospital, but once he's healed, that man is going straight to jail." Officer Beaumont spoke with such anger. His face smoothed out, and he took a breath to calm himself. "I've called your husband, and he's on his way now. I also suggested that he get you to a hospital for a checkup. just in case. Later we can talk about what happened." The man listed unprofessionally as he stood to leave. "You take care of her now," Beaumont spoke to Adrian, his brown eyes dark and serious. "I will." The blonde-haired boy spoke firmly, with a determined look in his green eyes. "Good. Well then, good day, Mr. Peng Cheng. Kid." The brown-haired officer bid the two farewell and left them in stunned silence. The silence was once broken when Marinette re-entered the room. "Marinette, did that man really fall out the window?" Her mother spoke up aghast. Marinette turned to her. "Yep, he tripped," Marinette told with a straight face. Sabine sighed. "You can't just trip people out the window, honey," the dark-haired woman spoke while she massaged the bridge of her nose. "But Mama, I had to do something. He hurt you," Marinette exclaimed, defending what she had done. Adrian just sat there and watched on in shock. This was a side of Marinette he had never seen. "Yes, dear, but not tripping out a window." Sabine knew the urge very well, considering her daughter was very much like her when it came to tempers, something that had mellowed with age. "Yes, Mama," Marinette pouted. "Now, why don't you and Adrian talk things out? I'll go get some food." Sabine fought to keep the smile off her face and voice as she got up to move. Adrian?" Sabine giggled silently as soon as she heard her daughter's voice squeak at the name. "Hey, m'lady." The boy started off sheepishly. "You're Chat Noir?" She echoed what was in her mind in shock. "You're Ladybug," he shot back. "Let's go upstairs. We have a lot to talk about." Her voice trailed off uncertainly as it faded and the sound of footsteps took over. Sabine smiled. She knew the two of them were perfect for each other, and hoped that after this they would finally be together. Oh, Tom would love this when she told him. Later that day, when Sabine took a plate of cookies to her daughter's room, she caught sight of a red-faced Adrian with a glazed look in his eyes, and Marinette with an equally red face, except she was smiling a very self-satisfied smile. Sabine pointedly ignored the peeking red mark on Adrian's neck and Marinette's messed hair. Once she was out of sight, Sabine did something she would never admit to. She fist-pumped. On the Monday of the next week, Marinette walked into class with a languid stroll, a sudden blush appearing on her face when she looked at Adrian, remembering the day before. Good morning, she chirped out with minimal stuttering. Good morning, Marinette, Adrian stuttered back, shifting her scarf around his neck to cover the love bite she had left. The blush intensified. Hey, Marinette, notice you stuttered less. Why is that? Alia greeted with a grin immediately started to interrogate her. Marinette's face turned bright red as she mumbled a reply. He came over and helped a bit when there was trouble at the bakery. He stayed over and we talked. She spoke quietly to Alia, knowing it would be worse if she held the information back. Oh, I heard about that. What happened to the guy who broke in? Alia asked with worry. He tripped and fell out the window, Marinette told her with an angelic smile. Alia shivered. Girl, you can be so scary sometimes. Alia regarded her with a grin. Adrian, who was guiltily eavesdropping, couldn't help but agree. End notes. Yeah, I figured that Hawkmoth would have put a bounty on the Miraculous in the underground of Paris, since if the Akumas weren't working as well as he thought. Anyway, so, second video on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the Podfic. I know I wrote it and I'm doing one on Podfics, but what the heck. I am thinking about doing a commentary videos, like Miraculous, since there's a lot of stuff I want to say about it. Basically, you would be watching the video and I'd be just doing commentary over about what I think and stuff like that. There'll be actual photos and little clips in the actual video, but that's what I was thinking of. What do you guys think? Leave a like to let me know you got this far, or just if you want to. And subscribe if you want, but since there's only 2 videos, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching and listening, and I hope you have a great day. Songs out.